of Tracy, echoing your voice because your voice matters. And just learning about her and reading about her, she is doing great things up there in Tracy, California. You guys got to be really, really proud of her. Her commitment is to preserve our family-oriented community, place more focus on bringing new business and jobs to Tracy, California, while nurturing existing businesses, strengthening our public safety, advocating for affordable housing, and addressing youth and senior needs. We might have to move to Tracy, California. It sounds like a great place to be. A wonderful place. Well, California is a wonderful place to be anyway. As mayor, Mrs. Young's number one priority is to help foster teamwork through what she calls Team Tracy, building community together. She says, I come prepared to every meeting with two things in mind, and that is enough information to make an informed decision about growth. And the other thing is to make sure that my mind is open enough to, and I can be changed. My mind can be changed. Now, is she a politician? You're a new kind of politician there, Miss Tracy Young, Miss Nancy Young. Yes, you are. Tracy, California, Nancy Young. I got it. She is Dr. Young. She is a woman with passion and concern for the people to see development of true community. The crossing of racial, generational, political, and economic boundaries, accentuating common goals between people and helping others achieve growth and deliverance in their lives through mentorship. Okay, and deliverance in their lives through mentorship. She's authored 7 published books, attained her bachelor's degree in mass communication from UC Berkeley, a master's in business administration from the University of Phoenix, and a doctorate in theology from Good News Seminary and Bible College. And she is an ordained minister. Now, that's pretty good when you're a pastor. You know what the people need. You're bringing the people the need. And then you know, and you saw the strength in being a voice for the community by getting involved into the political arena. She moved to Tracy. Since moving to Tracy in 2006, her and her husband, James, she's actively worked to make Tracy even better through her involvement in Tracy Kiwanis, Boys and Girls Clubs of Tracy, Tracy African American Association, Tracy Golden Ages, founder of Living on Purpose Mentoring. I love that. We got to live on purpose. We got to live on purpose. And that is exactly what she's doing, living on purpose. She's a mentor lead for the Student Discovery Program at Kimball High and Sow a Seed Foundation. Now, 3 generations deep into Tracy roots, her investment in our generation. I done lost my spot. Well, I know what I'm doing. Okay, here we go. Since moving to Tracy, I told you that part. Now, 3 generations deep in her Tracy roots, her investment in our generation begins as the proud mother of 4 adult children. Hey, Benjamin, Michael, Lydia, and Nathaniel, 4 stepchildren. I always wanted to know about stepchildren. What step are they on? The first step, the second step, or the third step? Them your kids. If you paying for them your kids. I don't like that word, stepchildren. Step on out of here with your grown stuff. That's what you could do. And she's got 4 stepchildren, Charmaine, James Jr., Sean, and Shannon, and 7 grandchildren, Benjamin, Leonard III, Omar, Shannon Jr., Rachel, and Sanchez, and Jordan. You got a house full. You have left your mark. You are truly have built a legacy there in Tracy. Mayor Dr. Now I know what to call it. Mayor Dr. Young. Okay. I got it. I knew it was going to be something in there. Mayor Dr. Young believes that if we, the community of Tracy, come together and collectively make our voices heard, we can make Tracy an even better place to live, play, work, and do business. She proudly wears the mantle of the first African American mayor. She's just making history all over the place. Girl, every place you go, you leaving footprints and steps and whatnot. That is just wonderful. She is actually the first to be the first African-American mayor of the city of Tracy, knowing that her influence and example will continue to inspire generations to come to make their voices heard and not be afraid to continue to cross boundaries and break more ceilings. Quote, she said, I did it because nobody told me I couldn't. And even if they did tell you couldn't, you obviously don't pay attention to them because you're going to do it anyway. You know what you're doing because somebody told me I should. Let me read this. That was my sidebar. This is her quote. Quote, I did it because nobody told me I couldn't, because somebody told me I should. My voice mattered, and yours matters too. So Mayor Dr. Young will be joining us. I mean, and it's really something when you get into a place, into your city and in your community, and you know that you can make a difference. You know that your voice is important, and all of our voices are important. We got to learn to work collectively and succinctly. And what Nancy Young is doing up there in the Bay Area in Tracy, California, and now for her next feat, she is running for county supervisor up in the Bay Area in Tracy. And I know that's a big job. I've had several people that I know who have been county supervisors. And people, often say, well, what do they do? It's what do they not do? County supervisors, and she'll explain it better to us. They're the ones that move all the money around. They're the ones they're the movers and the shakers. They're the ones with the connections, and from what I understand, their position is just like what Mayor Dr. Young says. You have to be able to be in okay, she's here.
Okay, go ahead, tap her in.
Okay. Mayor Dr. Young? I don't have it. So anyway, about becoming a county supervisor, that's a pretty big major position to have in politics, and because I want to ask her, why you ain't running for the mayor? Well, you're already the mayor, so now you want to get another big time job and be a supervisor, and I think that is wonderful. I'm going to talk to her about her books. Okay, no, she's live over here. It says, can you come? Oh, it's live over here. That's right. Okay, don't worry about that. Don't worry. Just, and I'm glad to see that more women are getting into politics. I mean, and more African-American women and women of color are really changing the game in politics. And she's up in Tracy, California, in the Bay Area, running for supervisor. She's already the mayor pro tem, and she was the first African-American mayor in that city. And here we are in the 21st century, still breaking ground, still breaking boundaries, still breaking stereotypes. And this is an ongoing situation. This isn't something that you just, oh, well, yeah, we'll do it. It won't be a big deal. No, when you get involved in politics, that's some pretty serious business. And to be able to be voted in continuously, and people have that kind of trust in you because they see the work that you do, and they see the results of the work that you do, and the fact that you don't feel like, okay, I'm just gonna rest on my laurels. Okay, I'm just gonna do this, that, and the third. You keep making paths for yourself as a leader, as a thought leader, and blazing a path and a trail for other young women to realize you have a voice. You get to speak up. And one of the things I've always heard is when you don't speak up, silence is a form of consent. Dr. Desmond Tutu says, if you're not with the problem, or if you, Dr. Tutu said, if you're silent about an issue, that means that you have sided with the oppressors. Now that's deep. And we don't want to side with oppressors. We want to side, and people want to keep us down, tell you what you can't do. Who do you think you are? I think I'm God's child. It's not so much that I think. I don't think that. I know that. And this is just a sidebar for you. I'm one of his favorites. Don't you tell nobody I said that. And I know that. And this is another great foundation that she has, and she brings to the community her sense of family. She didn't let life cut her off. She's got kids, he got kids. Now they got a house full of kids and a house full of babies, and we're gonna make some more babies. We're making babies for the future. And that's what we have to do. And we have to lead by example. We need to teach them, to show them what to do, because we can do it. when I always said when I started my own business, I said, and this is about a lot of people in big business, small business, any kind of business. They want you to do all the work, and I was of the mindset I want to know what everybody does. I want to know what they do and how they do it and why they do it, and I want to know that it's a team effort. It's a team effort. I always tell people, you don't work for me. We work together. It's a team effort. And when you go in with that kind of an attitude, the leader of the organization, the leader of the city, the leader of the church, the leaders in the communities, when they see you stepping up and you're willing to do the grunt work. That's what I call it. That's the grunt work. That's when somebody's not there to put the toilet paper back on, restock the bathroom and, clean up the kitchen. If you got a little area, where they can sit down and eat or, whatever. I got to be willing to do that. I could not ask you or anybody else to do a job working with us that I wouldn't do. I'm not big and grandiose like that. When I was doing the TV show, I still call them the kids. They're grown people, but they were just a beautiful group of people, and they were like, we don't work with a lot of talk show hosts, Mother Love, but we were never allowed in their dressing room. Some of the hosts didn't want you looking straight at them, and you had to clear the hallway, and that just sounded like stupid. These are people who are working with you to make you look good. They help you with your show. And you think you're too good to interact with your team? Because a lot of them don't look at it like a team. They're like, I'm the boss, I'm the bourgeois class, you the proletariat, you do what I say. We tell you what to do and you do it. But ask us regular folk, if we tell a leader we go to the boss, and no disrespect, but just to say, sir, madam, we think this is so-and-so. Don't tell me nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. Do it my way or get out. You can leave. It just took me, I didn't understand. I just simply did not understand how come you thought or you think that you're too good to speak with your staff, to speak with people that work with you on whatever project that you're working on. And then when you're in politics, you got to do a lot of stuff. You've got to do a lot of stuff, and you have to have a certain kind of mindset, And some people, let's just keep it real. Some people don't ever need to be in politics. Some people shouldn't even be running for dog catcher, because they don't have really good people skills. Well, Mayor Dr. Young obviously has excellent people skills. She's able to talk to all of them. And when you have, when you can cross all of these stupid boundaries, the racial inequality, they sexist and all of this kind of the stereotypes, that just wastes so much of our time. That takes up too much of our energy, that we have to sit there and be angry, be mad. And I'm gonna tell you, and if you don't like a job that you're on, leave. If you're unhappy, don't be there, because that attitude is going to drag other people down. And I appreciate that Mayor Dr. Young says, she goes in prepared. Have enough information to make yourself an informed decision when you're in these meetings, whatever kind of meetings that you're in. Make sure that you have enough information that you can form and have a solid decision about what you're talking about. And the other thing she said was she comes in prepared, and she comes in prepared with an open mind. How often do you get to have somebody that, and all people should be like that. Have your stuff, have your line, have your marker, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Have a line that if you say, this is my line right here, and this is my line right here, and we don't cross my line right here. Don't just keep dropping the line and go back further and further. Stick to your guns. Mean what you say. Do what you say. And then people will begin to, and this is in any relationship, trust is built. Trust it grows. It's not just you all come in all willy-nilly, oh yes, I think this is wonderful. You'll make a great supervisor. You'll make a great mayor. You'll make a great, whatever it is you're going to make a great of. Be humble enough to know and strong enough and smart enough to know you don't know everything. I don't know everything. I don't know everything. Oh, but I know everything else. I don't know everybody. I don't. Oh, but I know everybody else. And that's how trust is built. I mean, and I'm the kind of person, I still have friends from when I was growing up. So we've been friends and sister friends and brother friends for 116, 17 years. And wouldn't I look good at 116, 117 years? I'm just saying. Uh, when you have and that trust and that loyalty, that came and that comes and continues to come from working together, knowing each other, knowing that if you say I'm gonna come and pick you up, mother love, at 12:30, I'm gonna be ready at 12:15. I'm not gonna be the one to hold up the progress. I'm not want to be the one to say, oh man, we're gonna be late because she go lollygagging again. Do what you say you're gonna do all the time. What you want to do and what you need to do, it doesn't have to be spectacular. Just be consistent. Be consistent in what you say. Be consistent in what your parameters are, what your moral compass is, and what you want to do. There's things that are deal breakers. And you got to understand and be strong enough and committed enough in yourself to understand your word means something to other people. But first part, your word has got to mean something to you. Your word. I tell them all the time, if I tell you a butterfly dip snuff, just look under his wing for the box. I don't got time to be big yassing around with that and wasting time on, hating and being envious and jealous of another person. That just takes so much work. And when you're doing as many jobs as Mayor Dr. Young is doing and wearing as many hats as many of us do, you really don't have time to waste on petty people, on petty conversations, on petty emotions, you're holding on some stuff that happened way back here. And what the kids say, way back in the day. They always say that about my age. My love, way back in the day. Y'all act like I'm like really 400 years old. They crack me up. And so, we might. I think we have a here. Hey, Mayor Dr. Nancy, Pastor Nancy, you got so many hats. I told you she was going to be. Did I tell you she was coming? I told him you was coming. I am so happy to meet you and so happy.
Hearing you in the background.
You can hear me?
You couldn't hear me.
Oh, I couldn't hear you.
I
couldn't see. I was looking at all buttons and they got this stuff. And they told me, the love don't touch a button. Don't touch a button. So how are you? Welcome to the program. And you have such a busy day. I am very honored that you have taken time out of your day. When I sweat like a runaway. I just
a runaway even.
I'm just real. I just want to make sure my hair on straight. We ain't got to do a whole bunch of fancy stuff. Let's talk about you, Dr. Mayor Pastor Nancy, there in Tracy, California. What got you involved? First of all, tell me about where you grew up and what your family life was like.
Okay, I'm gonna try to be more centered instead of
there you go.
Holding it.
Oh, you got
it.
Okay, there you go.
So I grew up in Southern California. I grew up my formative years until I was 13 in Compton, and back in the 70s. So it was an interesting time. Very interesting. And then right before I turned 13, we had our first drive-by shooting on our street, which killed one of my neighbors. He was 15 years old, who lived across the street from me. And so at that point, my parents were like, "No, it's time to roll up out of here." It was already one thing dealing with Crips and Bloods. We lived in a Crip neighborhood and having to deal with that. But when lives literally started being lost on our street, it was time to go. So we moved to San Fernando, and I grew up. I did my high school years San Fernando High. And then I graduated from there and moved to Northern California when I went to UC Berkeley. So now I've lived in the Bay Area, Northern California area for now 30 plus years, 36 years.
See, you just don't work the state. You know what you're doing. And how, because growing up in those kind of neighborhoods, I mean, I grew up in the projects, but we didn't have drive-by shootings when we were growing up. That was just completely unheard of. And I'd have to say that from what I can remember, most of the parents in our neighborhood in the projects had firearms because, you never know if somebody's going to try to break in your house or, whatever it's going to be, so and it was for safety. Nobody got shot. Nobody, we just didn't do that. The village looked out for each other. See, we looked out for each other. I mean, if I was acting up, Miss Susie could go down there and snatch a knot in my behind, and then I'm gonna get it again because I was out there acting a fool. And what your parents said, don't you make me look bad.
I know, absolutely. You definitely in trouble when you get home. It's like, I already got in trouble, but you're in trouble again.
You in even bigger trouble.
That's the truth.
And then you only do, and if you do it and you don't get stuck on stupid, you will never do that again.
Right.
Were your parents really strict?
I think they were balanced. So we had strictness, but I think it was a balance. I remember in high school, I had some friends that did not have curfews, but I had a curfew. So you're out with me, you got a curfew. You got to get up out of my car. I got to get home. I gotta be there. And so I have friends now that we've been friends since we were teenagers, and they talk a lot about how just being around my family and going to church with me, how that made a huge difference and the trajectory for their life and where they are right now, because my family created more guidelines. Because if you were in my house acting up, my mama got you too. And so it's like, you're not getting away. So, and nobody got to leave without helping us clean up. So it's like, you help mess up, you help cleaning up too.
The women cooked, and the fellas cleaned up the kitchen. They swept the floor. They mopped the floor. I don't think I swept the floor in my mother's house ever.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember mopping in her house because we had brothers, and that's what brothers do. And I got 3 sisters, and you're in a house with a whole bunch of women. You know how the cycles can go, and somebody crazy every week. Just what's going on. We get crazy, and you couldn't sync them up. So everybody, my mother gave one of my boyfriends, and he told me, I can't be your boyfriend no more. Your mama crazy. Your mama whooped me. She said. And then he was stupid. He went and told his parents, and they grounded him for the rest of his life. So he didn't like me too much. But that's all right, because boundaries are what we need, and rules and regulations. And to not have those boundaries, people just feel like I can do whatever I want to do. I can say whatever I want to say. And it doesn't work. It doesn't bode well for the long haul. It really does not. So, and I was reading your resume, and I was reading your bio, and you got to be part Jamaican because you got 11 jobs.
I know, huh?
You the mayor, you a pastor, you a mentor, you a mother, you a grandmother, you a wife. When do you be able to get still? I mean, well, you could just say,
when I lay down at night,
you
when I go to sleep.
And are you able? Because in politics, I wanted you to tell us, you're running for county supervisor up there in Tracy. Tell us about that, and what does a county supervisor do?
So for now, for now I'm the mayor. So I'm a mayor of a city, and so within the city of Tracy. And within the whole county of San Joaquin, I'm one of 7 cities in this county. And there's county pockets that go in between and all around, which are the unincorporated parts of our city. So as a council member that I served for 8 years, and as the last 3 years as mayor, I overlook the things that happen within our guidelines of our city itself, the city of Tracy, the incorporated city. But the county supervisors, there are 5 county supervisors. They're broken into 5 districts. They cover different areas of the county. So it's the county pockets and all the things around the county. They do what we do for city. However, they do it more in that they really deal with a lot of the social things that we deal with, whether it's homelessness. We have our own homelessness that we deal with, but the services and everything comes through the county when it deals with behavior and mental health and things like that. We have to get the funding through the county when it comes to our libraries. We have libraries in our individual cities, but they're run by our county. And so when a lot of people hear about funding for whether it's transportation or different things within our country, but it comes from the federal level, and it goes down to the state level, and then it goes to the county, and the county disseminates the different funding to different municipalities.
Oh, yes.
Some things you can, so a lot of things can, some things, I'm stuck?
Yeah, you're stuck. Okay, there you are.
Okay, I'm back. So,
back.
all right then. So
what the county supervisors do. So as mayor, uh, uh, and running to be a county supervisor, which one is the county supervisor more powerful and has more connections than the mayor does? And
It really depends on from city to city. So some we have some strong mayors, but the position that I have as mayor is hands on with
mhm,
what happens in my community. That's why I serve on about 8 boards countywide,
mhm,
because I have to have input to be able to lobby to make sure that I'm getting the funding that I need within my city as well. But how it connects to other cities is important. So to be a supervisor, you have to be able to look at things holistically for the entire county, because you're working with other county representatives as well. There's 5 supervisors altogether, and you have
mhm,
to make the decisions that's going to affect the entire county. So at I think for some of the hands-on face-to-face that we have with people,
mhm,
mayors are more connected in
mhm.
those ways with individuals. And I'm a people person. And so
No.
when it comes to county, you're looking at more higher level things. You're still dealing with individuals, but you're dealing with more bigger groups to
Mhm.
be able to make sure that the things flow to the individuals within the cities that they need to. So it has more power in that it has real funds that it can help get disseminate in different areas to the cities.
And you do a lot of things in the city. What are some of your uh, what have been some of your biggest challenges running from being the mayor, running for supervisor, having all these hats, wearing all of this? I know you've had challenges. What have been maybe a couple of your biggest challenges, and how did you get over that?
So being the first African American mayor for my city since the 1800s, since the city was incorporated, put together.
Trailblazing,
Yeah, and then being the first female
mm,
elected,
another
it comes with,
trailblazer.
it does not come without its challenges. But
Mhm,
I have to say the rewards are still much greater. Um, I was actually on the council as the first, not the first council member that was of color, but the second
mhm,
in all the history. And so within a year of me being on the Tracy City Council, I had swastika put out in front of my yard. I had a bag of dead rabbits put out in front of my yard. And so this was 10 years ago. Now, this was in the summer of 2013. And so, and I reached out to find out, for some guidance,
mhm,
how do I deal with this? Because it's already one thing to be dealing with first
mhm.
in this day and time, because we should have already broken some of these barriers. So
Long time ago.
I'm trying to move things out of the sides of me,
Mm,
not just in front of me, because I need people to come alongside me, and I need people to come behind me too, because see, some people are so excited to be the only one. I've done this, and like me and no more. No, we need to have more women. We need to have more people of color. And so I think that's one of the things that I face. But as any leader, it's interesting because when 2020 came and homelessness, it seemed to be just spread and widened and just exasperated within our cities. And we already were dealing with homelessness, but on the extent that it grew exponentially, it was just incredible. But then you have people that says, oh, now we have homelessness now that Nancy Young is the mayor. Really? So you give me
oh
that
yeah,
much
that's
time
all
that
your
I
fault.
created.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
all
it's
your fault.
all my fault. I created homelessness. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter that going back to 2013 when I was looking for solutions of how we can address the homelessness that we did have and be able to incorporate all the different ones that had different ideas and knowledge and expertise on helping the crisis that we were already heading towards and being able to deal with it. People ignore that. We had issues with being insolvent. Really, we didn't file bankruptcy, but we did not have a balanced budget for over 10 years before I became the mayor. And so within the first year, we have a balanced budget. But prior to me becoming mayor, I asked for a financial sustainability committee to be
Mhm,
commissioned within our city so that we can look at our finances more closely to find out how could we get out of the situation that we were in. But not only that, people complain and they still complain. We don't have amenities. We need amenities. We have no money. We can't build any extra amenities. So in 2016, I actually championed a measure, and it was named. It was um, called V. And I remember when my city manager called me and he said, "Okay, they gave it a letter and it's V. We're gonna use V for victory."
okay.
Yes. And so we were able to get that measure passed, to have a sales tax for 20 years. We anticipated about 120 million to come in, but at this point we expect almost 300 million to come in for that. And so we're able to build amenities and build our aquatic center, build our multi-gen center, which I was just looking for a gymnasium because that was one thing we were lacking within our community. But we were also able to put multiple tens of millions into Legacy Fields, which is a sports complex with baseball and softball and soccer. And so I'm just looking at things that we can do to help our community at large, not just for kids. We need a lot of things for kids, for teenagers, but we also need them for adults. We also need them for active seniors. There's a lot of seniors out there that are busy right now. And so I was looking out to do those things. So I am so proud of bringing in Measure V. The first thing that we did do was put in money, almost $1 million, for the expansion of our senior center. I've been a part of our Tracy Golden Agers since 2010. They would not accept dues from me until I turned 45. I was 40 at the time. So I was able to be a free member, but I was there actually to advocate for the seniors and find out what their challenges were and what they continue to be. I'm still a part of that organization. It's hilarious. Sometimes I come in, they say, "Oh, the mayor's here." It's like, look, I've been a part of Tracy Golden Ages for 13 years now. Y'all been looking at me for a long time. But I've always loved being around seniors, and even though I'm in my 50s now myself, I still am
Girl,
mentoring.
let me tell you
And
this,
so,
Dr. Mayor, beautiful.
oh,
Yes,
thank
you
you.
are absolutely. I mean, your complexion is beautiful, flawless. Okay, I had to spackle mine on. I'm just, I love to see beautiful women, because, and the fact that you take good care of yourself and you take good care of your community. How many people do you serve that live in Tracy?
We have about 100,000 people in Tracy. When
So
I moved to Tracy,
it's kind of like a big small town.
yeah, for some places I go, it's medium. Some places it's large. Some places it's never really considered small. It's never
Okay.
considered small. When I go across the country and I serve on different boards, national boards and state boards, I've come across cities that are small. I think the smallest city was like probably 400 people. So you have different cities and you have different people serving in these capacities, but they don't have the larger scale issues that we have because we're one of the fastest growing cities in Tracy as well. We have a lot of housing under construction. We have a lot of businesses that are being brought here through our Prologis partners. And so we're moving much faster than a lot of other already established large cities. So we have a lot of moving parts, and that's what makes it really interesting. But that's where relationships comes in, and that's why it's important. See, sometimes you're just nice to people to be nice, and then you find out later, oh, they can help me with that. It might be 5, 10 years later. It's like, wow, let me call them up. And then there's so much, more eager to help just because we've had good relationships throughout time. And when I can help at other levels, that's what I do. And so I applaud other cities within our county that are getting different amenities that maybe we don't have here, but our community can still benefit from it and can still go to it and be entertained by it because we're county, we're a unit, we're a region together, and that's how you're going to solve things together. And so that's why it's important to be a
And
part of all these different things.
and the fact that you are including all of the community to work together to make it a better place for everybody. It's not just about Dr. Young. It's about being there to be a leader and to let them know that you can do this too. Because as a trailblazer, there's always gonna be a target on your back. And
Yes.
you see, and let me tell you, I'll come up on the back and rip that sucker right off your back and tell you, take that. Get that off. I don't know what you think you're doing. How has, these different positions, especially in politics, how have you grown? And what did you learn about yourself, your foundation, going into
You know,
politics? Because you don't look crazy. No,
it
listen,
takes prayer every day.
nutty. We are nutty people. I know. I tell people all the time, "Well, I'm gonna go to therapy." I know I got issues. Well, I'm gonna pay somebody to tell me I got issues. And
Yes.
when you grow, how have you grown for you as a person? How have you grown? What have you learned about Nancy?
I think that we're always in a growing state. When I was a young person, one of the things that I wanted to do, I went to college, my undergraduate degree to be an anchor woman. That's what I initially wanted to do. But I also, growing up in Compton, made me want to be an attorney, a defense attorney, to keep innocent people out of the system
Mhm.
that, different ones end up catching cases because they're just trying to simply survive and they were innocent in the first place, but then now they become guilty of something else. And so I was like, you know what? But if I'm an attorney, I'm going to have to always be studying, always be learning something. That's life, anyways. Always learning and always studying. There's always something new. And the older I get, I'm just more fascinated at the things that I do learn. But learning about myself, I think that as a mentor, I've put many volunteers in to become mentors. And as all of them we always say that we are always learning
Mhm.
as we're meeting and as we're talking to others, as they're growing, we're growing. And so to really appreciate what other people bring to the table.
Mhm.
I was talking to a young person yesterday, it was a young adult, about the importance of being able to recognize teamwork and what
Mhm.
everyone has to bring to the table. Because when I was at UC Berkeley as an individual student, I worked really hard. I graduated in 4 years, but I did it on my own. And it was hard. When I was in my master's program to get my MBA, it was mandatory that we had a team and we put together team projects. Every Monday we had a 20-page paper due. There's no way I could do a 20-page paper every week by myself. And even though I knew some of the work for all the different pieces that we had to do, I was the editor for our papers and we got A's on everything. But I didn't have to do every part. I did my part. And as I cleaned it up, I made sure things seemed seamless as it went from section to section. But even though I could do some other things, I didn't. I stepped back and I let them do that. And that's what I learned to really implement in leadership. In leadership, being able to allow others to be able to shine where they shine, to do what I do. I don't have to be in the front all the time. I know that I know how to follow
Mhm.
and I know how to lead. When it's time to lead, I got to step forward and I got to keep stepping. But when it's time to follow, I can support you. I can make you look good. And I think that's the real thing that I've really learned and have really grown in myself, knowing even more quickly when to step up and when to step back. And so I think that that's important in being able to grow. I know and I've confirmed that I just love people. When I've gone through some things earlier this year, when my council voted against me going to the African American Mayors Conference, saying that we didn't need that, and there was we had enough diversity on our account. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was a lady, a Caucasian lady in the community. She actually put a GoFundMe out there, my picture on a GoFundMe, to pay for our mayor to go to the African American Mayors Conference. So within a week, they raised over $5,000 to send me to Washington, D.C. to that conference, which was amazing. And so it was just wonderful to be able to be there and to the things that I learned when Maxine Waters came in and spoke to us. My mom grew up in Watts, so Nickerson Garden. So,
Everybody
she
knew
loved,
Miss Maxine. Everybody
yeah,
know her, Auntie
everybody knew
Maxine.
Auntie Maxine. And so when she came in and spoke to us, as feisty as she is, one thing that she said to us that really stuck with me when she said, you know what, you're in these positions now, and many of you are in there for the first time, for the city that you serve. But if you're sitting around waiting for somebody to do something for us and to make sure that things are done, you need to do it. Because if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Who's
Hasn't
gonna
been done all this time. And so I've been, just really trying to make a difference and do good and give keys to the city
Pastor?
as much as I
Wait, hold
can.
up, Pastor. Time. You done
Hmm.
said the wrong word to Mother Love.
What did I say?
It's a dirty little 3-letter word. You said, I'm trying. You're not
Okay.
trying to do anything, Queen. You are doing this majestically, methodically, with passion. You ain't trying to do nothing. See me, I'm gonna say what I was trying to do. I thought I could be a pole dancer one time. And I said, let me try that. That was the stupidest thing I ever done in my life. I almost tore my rotator cuff out. And people,
Oh my
what
goodness.
is wrong with you? You know you okay. Some
Well,
stuff
that's the truth.
you
So
can't do.
I have been, doing as much as I can with the time that I have. And that takes me back to my pastor. I had a female pastor in South Central LA, Pastor Pearlie Peterson, and she would get so upset when people would say, I'm going to attempt to sing this song. I'm going to attempt to do an A and B selection. She said, don't attempt, either do it or don't. If you get up there, sing it or sit down. And so that's the truth. So I have to remember about the whole trying thing, because I am doing as much as I can to make a difference while I am in this position of power and influence. I'm so excited because I meet little girls, I meet adult ladies, I meet people of color all the time, men even, that are going out for positions that they never thought they could. But because I've done it, or because I inspired them to go to college, or because I inspired them to run for that office, different ones are serving right now because I've led the way and to show that it can be done. I was told that it would never happen. And my husband was told that if I ever got in this position, I would be corrupted. And so I'm like, oh no, I
No.
answer to one person. I answer to God, God alone. And that is it. And that's how I can lay my head down at night and rest. I can explain every decision I've ever made. And if I change my mind, I have an absolute reason why. And I can articulate very specifically why I've changed my mind. And the thing, and even one of my nemesis, and I call her a nemesis because she was on the council with me for years, 6 years as a nemesis to me. But I tell you that in the last 2 years she served with me, she was a great help to me. And so, and I named her as my mayor pro tem. People were mad at me because I did that. I'm like, she is the most qualified. And not only that, she came to me and literally asked me several times to forgive her for the things that she had done because she realized that she was wrong. And so, if you can change, I have to have enough a heart to be open to hear and to see, and not to just look at you cross-eyed because of what you did in the past, but to allow that change to manifest. And it did. And she's a good friend of mine today. And so, but I would have never thought that. You could have paid me 10 years ago to tell me that she was going to ever be in the
Your
friend
friend.
zone. And so, yes, but God has grown me up to help me to be able to even more quickly forgive. I've had to go through things in my life that I had to forgive. But I noticed that in this world that I work in this political realm, there are so many people that get offended by one thing and they don't never like you. They don't care what you say. They don't care what you do. They make it personal. And this job that we do should never be personal. It should be about purpose, about people, and about doing what we can to better the lives of the people that we serve. And so that is a real reason why after I term out next year, because now I'm in the countdown, less than 1 year left now to my service as mayor in the city of Tracy, looking at the different options that I had above me, ahead of me. There are some even on the state level, but state level right now deals with a lot of legislation, and we need those legislations to really help us to do things. But I'm really that hands on. And so this level is another level that I can continue to be hands on and continue to utilize the many roles that I serve in right now, the knowledge that I've learned already to be able to disseminate and be able to incorporate into future decisions. A lot of things that we do at the city level, county level, around the world actually takes time. It takes time, but it takes an understanding. And when you have that learning curve, it depends on how, if you're a quick learner. Some people are quick learners, some are not. Some come in with the idea of what they want to see, but they have no idea how things actually work. Are they want to beat an old dead horse already you've already seen that this is not going to work. Now, if you want to get to another, solution, maybe you have another pathway to get there, but we're not gonna keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. So I feel that I've become valuable in a lot of other roles that I serve on the regional level. And so I can continue that in this next role. So I want to see our world just do better, and
And
all I
we
can
can't do
do
better.
is
We,
make a difference where I am.
you know what it is? People are afraid. They are scared to make a decision. They oftentimes, when they want to make a decision, they might not be informed to have all of the information that they need to be able to make a cognitive decision about what's going on. And you brought this up. They want somebody else to do it.
Hmm.
Okay, you the somebody else to do it. Well, I
Yes,
can't. What you mean you can't? Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried it? And God says it's easy to love people that you like. The real commitment and the real compassion comes in when you like a person that's hard to like, and that you
yes,
want to, but it's hard to like. Like you said, this lady was your nemesis, but she was also your teacher. And you were able to learn valuable lessons from her being the nemesis. And maybe she was just kind of pushing you through because she saw something in you. You have a great light. Now, speaking of great light, tell us about you going to theology school. I mean, you're the mayor, You're married, you got 11 kids and 11 grandchildren, or 12 grandchildren. And you came from a faith-based family. Why was it important to you to become a pastor?
So, it's interesting because I got filled me with the Holy Ghost when I was 9 years old. And so when I
And
got
that's
saved,
something. Whoa, that's something. When you a kid, when you
I
a
was 10,
child in the Holy Ghost, and you can't let it go.
a week and 5 days before I turned 10. I was so excited. So the first thing I was like, okay, now I can play a tambourine. And
Mm-mm.
now I'm going to be an usher. So that was my first job. I was an usher when I was 10.
Mm.
And so, but the thing with salvation is you don't want to just keep it to yourself. I witness to all my friends. All my close friends are still my close friends right now because we're still in churches together.
Mhm.
And so I held prayer meetings across the street at my neighbor's house or at my house. I had Bible studies. This was when I was 10. And so we would get together and I witnessed to everybody. And I remember one of my friends when we were 11, Kanaya Foster. I remember I had witnessed her and she said she couldn't come to church. I didn't realize, she didn't tell me until years later she was Jehovah's Witness and her father wouldn't let her come because of the church difference. But remember one day she came to me at school and she said, I had a dream. She said, I had a dream and the rapture came. We were on the playground and you were going up. You were going up to heaven. And I was jumping up trying to grab you. Take me with you. Take me with you. She was like, I want to be saved. And so, it was just always important to me to live a life. Going to church is not something just that we did, but being saved is something that who I am, God being on the inside and so not having a hard life, that's kind of helped with whatever skin that
Mhm.
I have. But I've
That's a
always
pretty
been,
thick skin. Don't do not sell yourself short, Miss Lee, under any circumstances. You got to, and especially when you're in a public eye, you got to have like skin as tough as an elephant because they're gonna be coming at you. They're gonna want to strip you down, and you have on the whole armor. See, people got to understand the devil is afraid of God. So now, if the devil is, that's the only entity that I'm like really, really kind of scared of. Okay, yeah, my mother's spirit. My mother's been off the planet physically for decades, and she still scared me. I could
oh
still hear
wow.
her breathing on her back. Don't even think about it. And when I was getting ready to think, and I'm like, how do you know what? Even when she was alive, she would say, "Oh, I hear what you thinking." I was like, "How can you hear what I'm thinking?" And she would say,
Here with
oh,
you.
she said, "I can hear a rat pee on cotton." And I was like, because your parents could say some stuff to them and just like leave you standing there going, and you don't really get it to like maybe when you're 30,
Oh yeah.
and then it makes sense. And then it makes sense.
My
How
pastor used to say, she used to
what
say, keep living. And
you
so I get it now. As I get older, you keep living. Things look very different. Things look very different through my eyes now than they did when I was 30. I was, I had to do what I needed to do as a mom, and I felt like I was a good mom. I was always there, that supporter. I'm still that supporter of my adult children. And so, and I can be hard on my grandson sometimes, but I probably am way more lenient in different things. I can understand, I can see things differently. But ministry has just been a part of everything within my life. By the time I was 11, I was I was directing the adult choir at my church. I was the youth president already, which they call youth pastors now. By the time I got to high school, I was one of the Sunday school teachers. I was a head usher when I was a young teenager. So I preached my first message when I was 11 at another church. That's not at my church. I had already been preaching at my church. And so I've been a minister for many years. So when my husband and I got together, I was already a licensed minister for the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World
Mhm.
at 19. And at the time, I was the youngest to get my state license through that organization. And then my husband, before we got married, he told me he intended to pastor. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just wanted to be married to another minister. We don't have to pastor a church. Let's not get carried away. But in 96,
You said, don't get carried away now.
yeah, I'm just happy to be one of the ministers in the church. I wasn't trying to be the minister in the church. So, but 1996, January 24th was our first service. We had Bible studies before that. My husband, started out as being the pastor, and I was over different ministries, and I was actually over the umbrella of all the ministries because I'm just an administrative person. And so I just like things to be done decently and in order. And so, but I always preached to ministers, and just at some point I became an ordained pastor in the 90s. It was
Mhm.
still in the 90s when I became an ordained pastor. And then when I decided to get my doctorate, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do it in, whether it was going to be sociology, whether I was just going to go ahead and get my law degree. And then I decided, you know what? I want to just go to another level spiritually and just learn more from a technical perspective for theology. And it was very different, very different. The Bible, seeing it more as a text, people say, I'm going to take my text, from here. It's different. But when learning it from a educational perspective, I get to see it. I get to see things a little bit differently. But I graduated salutarian. They let me graduate a year early because I just was getting A+s 100% on everything. They're like, okay,
we can't
all
teach you
right.
anything else. Move out the way. She gonna make us
They're like,
real crazy.
yeah. So like 6 months before the graduation, that was supposed to be the year before me, the chancellor called me in and the president, and they were like, okay, because of all your experience already, your ACE and everything, if you can get your dissertation done in the next 6 months, we'll let you graduate early. I was like, nothing but a word.
Hey,
I can do it.
you
I went to the library.
Me, buddy. Oh, okay, right. That's what you want. I can do that. I mean, I know several pastors' wives. And that's a really, and I've heard that could be a really difficult position to be in, especially if you didn't know that's what you were getting into. And I say that because a friend of ours that we went to college with, I mean, we was the wildest thing on the whole yard. I mean, it was terrible, but I had a ball. And I would have never thought that he would have called us up and said, I'm going to seminary school. And I was like, hello, and who is this? And what you talking about? I said, you sound like my brother. He'd be like, girl, it is me. I'm like, what? He said that he got saved. And now his mother, they grew up very, very, very religious. And of course, being a teenager, he wanted to, I don't want to do all this to me, rules and regulations. That's taking too long. When he said he was going to seminary school, theology school, and he's the bishop of his own church in Columbus, Ohio. And to watch this guy grow in the Lord and still be as silly as he is. I don't know why people think pastors don't have a sense of humor. I'm like, really? I don't get that. My pastor got a crazy sense of humor. You might even know my pastor, my bishop. You know Bishop Charles E. Blake?
Yes.
That's my pastor. That's my bishop.
Okay.
And you always know when I'm not in church. I said, how you know when I ain't in church? It's a fact.
All those people.
Yeah. Because he said, I know when you're not here, daughter, because I don't hear, Bishop. He said, don't nobody say it like you, man. Don't nobody say it like you. And it just resonate all over the whole room. Because when it gets to you and it gets in you, it doesn't let go. And I remember my father's baby sister used to tell me this all the time. And I just thought she was like a wackadoodle. She used to say, you're going to be an evangelist. Well, you're already an evangelist. I'm like, no, I had never even heard the word evangelist. Okay. And so she, oh no, you know, God got something for you to do. And she was, she got into the church. She was my wild and undisciplined aunt. And when God got her, he did not let her go. And she was such a faithful person. People used to say to her, nasty things behind her back, like, she don't mean that. She just trying to find another angle. She believed that she would say, I'm saved, sanctified, and filled with the Holy Ghost. And that's what it is. And it's a beautiful feeling. And can you maybe as a pastor, can you describe that to us? I mean, can you explain when the Holy Ghost hits you? Is there a methodical explanation for that? Because you never know when it's going to come.
I was initially being filled with the Spirit of the Holy Ghost. I was talking to a young lady who's recently been filled with the Holy Ghost. And so just talking about how everything just looked different. Brightness. It's hard to really explain just the newness that's all over you. And so, and I know I was young and I hadn't got into smoking and drinking. I didn't do all that kind of stuff. And it was different because I had to have my own testimony, and I had to live a life where I still had continuous testimonies that God delivered me from, or brought me through, or grew me up, or whether he healed or delivered, my own thing. But it's transforming. It's transforming where you are really truly not your own. And so it's not the things that you want to think or do. I mean, you can hear it, whether it's your mama bringing down your neck, you can hear God like that. No, no, that's not it.
Mm.
And this is
That's
not how you can do. And so just like earlier this year when I was dealing with, some of the racist and some of the challenging things that was going on here in our city, and a lot of things still have fallout and hasn't completely, not completely all right. But I remember at one point I was like, you know what? I only have a year plus at this time, and I'm just going to do the bare minimum. I'm just going to do, I'm just going to look out for those who need help. I'm just going to look out for our youth. I'm just going to look out for our seniors. I'm just going to make sure we get our transportation. And when I start going through the whole list, I'm not going to do exactly what I've been doing because that's what I'm
Yes.
here for.
I was listening to you trying to talk yourself out of doing what you do anyway. To mama, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum. You have no idea what a bare minimum is. And I don't even know why you even sat there and say you ain't even got a straight face. You can't even say it with a straight face because it was coming out and you're like, I don't even believe that. I know good well I'm not gonna halfway do anything. And
That's
that's
the
what
truth.
you talk to yourself. And women do this. Women will do this. We will put everybody else needs before our own. We will take care of everybody else. You're taking care of your husband. Oh, your foot swelling up because cooking dinner for the church. Oh, I'll go to the doctor later on. Oh, so and so and so. I'm like, how can you how can I help take care of you if I don't take care of me when I don't take care of me?
Right.
And that's
So
what
one of the things that I learned, because you asked me what some of the things that I learned in this
yeah.
position, one of the things that I learned, and I didn't get it when I was younger. I mean, it was hard for me to absorb, and that was putting on my mask first on the airplane. And I remember I used to hate when the people come over to me and tell me, make sure, because you have your kids, and if we have any troubles, the mask will drop down. Make sure you put on yours first, and then help your kids. And I've had to use that, of course, in a lot of spiritual contexts many times to help yourself. Because if you can't breathe, you're not going to be no good for anybody else. You're only going to last for a little bit of time. But I've had to learn more and more of how to really look out for Nancy so that I can be a better help for everybody else. So there are times, I mean, I don't miss my nail appointments. I do
Because I
make
was,
sure I get my massages.
I was like, that might be inappropriate to ask her, hold your hands up because they're beautiful. Oh, I just
Oh
love
yeah,
them. Oh, they look at
yeah.
that. You got
I
million
get
dollars.
my hands and my feet done. I make sure I get my massages. This year, my focus has been on behavior and mental health for our community, and I've honored 8 organizations plus actually 10 altogether that's doing work in this space that's helping people. But I'm like, there's different things that people do for their mental health. For me, it's my nails.
No.
I got to sit back and I got to relax. I got to regroup.
See, I didn't
So
do nail
there's.
salon even before she started working on my manicure, and oftentimes I can get my manicure and my pedi at the same time, right? And
Mhm.
they start touching on me, and I'd be like, okay, good, fine. I wake up, my nails look fabulous, my feet look fabulous. They have to wake me up. My love, you finished. Get out the chair. And I'm like, what, who, what? I wake up crazy. I'm
I
like,
have my same nail people for
when is
14 years, so
when is
I
the
trust
election?
them.
When is the election for county supervisor?
This is what's going to be a challenge because this is my first time doing any kind of campaigning during the holiday season. Because
Mhm.
usually campaigns I'll start like the spring or the summer going into November,
Mhm.
but this requires a primary, and primaries used to be in June, but primaries March 5th.
That's coming up real close.
Coming up really fast, 3 months from now.
Congratulations on your running, and be willing to stand in the gauntlet and go through the gauntlet to continue to nurture and love your community, yourself. And I have to say, it has just absolutely been a joy to chat with you. I wish you good luck on your campaign. You'll do well. Had the lady do another GoFundMe campaign for you. What you talking about? What you talking
Yes.
about, Dr. Mayor Nancy? What? Okay, we got just a couple of seconds left. When you turn around and look back at your life before you step through those pearly gates, what do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my goodness. I really thought about
Okay, you know
that.
what? Hold up.
Okay.
Don't even answer that question. We're going to save that for the next time. How about
Okay.
it? It has
All
been
right.
a joy. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on the campaign. And remember this, babies, no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, it does not matter what skin you're in. Everybody needs some mother love now and then. Peace, my babies. Peace and love.